As we mentioned, this will be President Trump's second nomination to fill a Supreme Court vacancy. Mr. Trump nominated Neil Gorsuch within the first 100 days of his presidency.
It is an extraordinary resume, as good as it gets. Judge Gorsuch was born and raised in Colorado and was taught the value of independence, hard work, and public service. While in law school, he demonstrated a commitment to helping the less fortunate. He worked in both Harvard Prison Legal Assistance Projects and Harvard Defenders Program. Brilliance being assured, I studied every aspect of his life. He could have had any job at any law firm for any amount of money. But what he wanted to do with his career was to be a judge, to write decisions, and to make an impact by upholding our laws and our Constitution. The qualifications of Judge Gorsuch are beyond dispute. He is the man of our country and a man who our country really needs and needs badly to ensure the rule of law and the rule of justice. I would like to thank Senate leadership. I only hope that both Democrats and Republicans can come together for once for the good of the country.
John Elwood is a former law clerk for Justice Kennedy, and he joins us now from Washington. All right, so let's start with the timing of this. Why do you think Justice Kennedy is retiring now?
Well, it's the right time for him. He's 81 years old. He has been on the court for 30 years, and I think that he's finally decided it's time to, it's a kind of a cliche, but spend some time with his family. He's very close to his grandchildren, and this gives him an opportunity to have kind of a second act in his life.
And this does not necessarily come as a surprise. There were hints, as I understand it, John, that he was planning on leaving the bench.
Well, there were certainly whispers. I don't think that he shared his intentions with anyone. But beginning last year, when he had his law clerk reunion a year early, people began speculating that he wasn't long for the bench. And that turned out to be right.
Well, do you think the president will nominate someone ideologically similar to Justice Kennedy?
I think it's going to be a conservative. I suspect it'll be somebody from his short list. But yeah, it's, Justice Kennedy, even though he was the swing justice, on balance, he was one of the court's conservative members, and I suspect that it will be somebody broadly of the same stripe.
And John, remind us what the nomination process is like. We heard from Jan Crawford, our chief legal correspondent there, talking about she has no doubt that there will be a confirmation by this fall. What is your sense of the timing?
Well, I think I wouldn't be surprised if we get a nominee very quickly because the president already has put out a list of potential nominees. I think they'll be cognizant that there's kind of a short time to get this taken care of, to get him on the bench, the nominee on the bench, before first Monday in October. And they'll get the name out quickly. The senators will start looking into them. The nominee will have to do a ton of paperwork. And then they'll look at the person's record, his or her record, very closely and have confirmation hearings, I suspect, sometime in late summer.
And John, as we mentioned, you are a former law clerk for Justice Kennedy. What can you tell us about the last time you spoke with him?
I think the last time I spoke with him was probably at our law clerk reunion. He's unfailingly cheerful and polite. He's a really, really charming man. And he's also kind of just unfailingly decent. In all the times when I've dealt with him, he doesn't have an unkind word. He's not sharp or biting. He really is just a wonderful human being, and he was a pleasure to work with and a pleasure to interact with him whenever I did.
All right, John Elwood, thank you so much.